I tell you one thing, you don't need a lot of motivation.
Sellout crowd, 90,000.
Bama is where you come for pressure.
You get to play in environments like that. Embrace it.
Virginia Tech's had possession of the Black Diamond Trophy for over 6,000 days now.
First throw of the year, touchdown, Bearcats. Looks deep, he got it. How about that?
This is why you come to Florida to play in games like this. We can open a lot of eyes.
This is as good as it gets.
Oh, there's nothing cuter than Baby Reese. That's Laura Rutledge's adorable daughter going up and making the pick, right?
I love kids. Kids know what's best. They always do. Trust me.
Yeah, well, she's got good instincts on that. Baby Reese doing pretty darn well so far with her picks. And importantly, she apologizes to her mom along the way. She loves Bama. You love hanging out with us. This is the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. For the next hour, we're going to get you caught up on everything that happened today. We're going to show you all the best plays, some of the worst, and we're going to make sure that we set the scene for what's happening tonight. We're in all of your digital spaces. So whether it's the ESPN app, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of them. Make sure you tell your friends, your family, and your enemies to hang out with us for the next hour as we get everything caught up on everybody. You look really good. I like the colors.
Thank you. But listen, it's been a crazy day in college football. Folks. It's been a crazy day already, man.
So my favorite part about the show in general isn't even just what we do on air. It's getting to spend all day sitting in a conference room watching Harry Douglas just get up and yell at the TV. I mean, I'm sitting with the coach in the conference room all day as he's yelling. And we're going to get straight to some of the best action. We're going to get to obviously talking a little bit about the game that's going on right now, the number one team in all the land. You were yelling a lot early on at Florida because Florida looked like they were not ready to play early in this game. Alabama was taking them to the shed, but the score you see is not a misprint. A game that at one point was 14-3 and looked like it was about to be run away with is all of a sudden 31-29. Florida had the chance to tie a little while ago with a two-point conversion, could not convert it, so they trail by 2 late in this game. The Bryce Young portion of this 22-35, 240 with 3 touchdowns has been very good. Emory Jones in at quarterback for Florida, 18-28, 195. We weren't able to see a dual head at the quarterback position, though, because of injury.
Well, yes, but I'll tell you this. In this game that we had today, I'll tell you, Florida, Emory Jones, the interception that he had was costly because Alabama went down and scored a touchdown. Also, the missed tackles defensively.
Awful.
There's times where they had Alabama stop defensively, third downs, but they kept sustaining the drives because they couldn't tackle in space. That really hurt this Florida team. But let me tell you what I'm impressed with. The run game from Florida has showed up today. Malik Davis, Emory Jones, Wright, Damian Pierce. All these guys in the run game have showed up, and they have 4 touchdowns in the rushing department as well.
We're just like you. We're going to make sure that we're watching the end of this game. We'll keep you caught up on the end of this game. But I think it's interesting, Harry, because the defensive coordinator's job is to know not just the plays he's calling, but who's there to execute those plays. And what we saw in the first 2 drives particularly was some aggressive play calling, going up on the blitz, and all of a sudden now you're asking another guy to come up one-on-one in space. Those guys from Florida, and there were multiple of them, just couldn't get that done. It looked like Florida couldn't tackle in space to save their lives, and that's what really cost them in the beginning of the game, which is now possibly costing them the game overall.
And that's the MO of Todd Grantham. That's one of the things that he has done throughout his career as a defensive coordinator. He's going to take those chances. He's going to gamble. He's going to send blitzes and leave his players isolated one-on-one. So that's his MO. That's what he does. But sometimes it can cost you a game.
Yeah, well, also, we did notice a little bit, dare I say, a possible weakness you noticed in Alabama.
In Alabama, I think, so the secondary of Florida can guard this team one-on-one. Alabama doesn't have guys like they had the last 3, 4, I say 5 years that can beat tough aggressive press man-to-man coverage, and that has shown in this game. Yes, you have Mechie III, but after him, who do you have that can beat man-to-man coverage? That's a weakness I discovered today in Alabama's offense.
Yeah, I'm just happy we saw a heck of a game because early on in the first half, this is why you never tweet midway through the game about the perils of college football, because early on it looked like it was Alabama and nobody else. And now we end up right now 31-29. We'll keep you updated on that. Also, quickly, we will note Ohio State is in a dogfight. We'll keep you updated on that. But let's get to some highlights that we can show you on another team. It was a day of chaos. Battles everywhere. Oklahoma taking on Nebraska, and we weren't sure what to expect here. We pick it up third quarter, 3rd and goal. Oklahoma up 7-3. Spencer Rattler finds Jeremiah Hall. They're up 14-3. And we're actually here to the Nebraska extra point attempt. Sorry, that's a little later in the game. And this was blocked and returned.
Hey, once a kick is blocked, all you have is special teams, guys. So, hey, if the fastest guy on the field at that point, the kicker can't get him, no one's going to get him.
We pick it up here. Martinez drops back. 23-9 is the score. That interception we're going to show you a couple of times today because that was epic.
I got to check his gloves.
Yeah, see, I'm telling you, I've converted Harry Douglas. I just want to know if he screamed "Go, go, Gadget Arms" as he was in the air, because in my America, that's what he does, is he screams "Go, go, Gadget Arms." Spencer Rattler's reaction, by the way, also incredible.
He can't even believe it.
Look at that. Final score, 23-16. Let's talk for a second about what you were just mentioning and what we talked about with special teams, because that was the story of this game. If you're Nebraska, you missed 2 field goals in this game, and you had a blocked extra point that was returned for a 2-point conversion. Now, I was with the ACC network guys last week before our show. We were talking. I was talking to Coach Rick as we were in the studio. We were just hanging out, and he was talking about how fans just destroyed him years ago when he was coaching because they had an extra point attempt. They were up by 1. They had an extra point attempt, and they took a knee with only a couple of seconds left. And fans were saying, "Why would you do that?" And everybody was talking about overs and unders and all this stuff. And Coach Rick said to me at the time, he said, "Look, I know the rule, and if we have an extra point blocked and it's returned, that's a 2-point swing. We were only up by 1. I wasn't willing to take a chance." I laughed about it and sort of banked it in my memory. Here we are a week later, and we're seeing this. I mean, you're talking about a 7-point game for the final score, but we also have to acknowledge 2 missed field goals, and then you're 8 points. 8 points on the board by Nebraska.
But guess what? They call it special teams for a reason because those guys are special. That's why you have to be great in all 3 phases of the game. You just mentioned not 1 field goal miss, but 2. And an extra point that got taken for a 2-point conversion for Oklahoma. If you just make those kicks alone, what do you have? Probably a victory.
What you have is a vulnerable Oklahoma team yet again. I mean, when are we going to acknowledge Spencer Rattler is not playing well enough?
Check this out. You said when are we going to acknowledge it? Right now, this Oklahoma football team, everybody coming in, the defense is better. The defense has these studs. I have not seen it yet this season. This team is vulnerable, very, very vulnerable. And I think Spencer Rattler, he has to be great. I haven't seen the spark out of him. I haven't seen the Spencer Rattler that's a Heisman hopeful, the guy who's supposed to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I have not seen that. And when I watched film on him last year, there's a lot of things that I did not like as well. So I'm not high on his train right now.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler's a Heisman nopeful. See what I just did there? Oh, let's go to the next highlight on the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. We'll get to the next game on the docket. I think we're going here to a little bit of Virginia Tech, West Virginia action. Number 15, Virginia Tech. First quarter, 2nd and 9. Virginia Tech down 14-0. Braxton Burmeister, Travion Robinson, 23-yard touchdown. That's a beautiful catch.
What a catch.
Anticipation to get back to the ball.
Hey, you one-on-one with a safety, throw it up. Safeties can't play the ball.
Second quarter, we got Jared Dagey to Sam Hames for the 16-yard tutty. West Virginia up 21-7 at this point. That's when we thought maybe we should turn this game off. Wasn't worth watching. But Raheem Blackshear says, "Hey, give me the ball. I need it."
Keep hope alive.
20-yard touchdown. Vatek trying to keep it close. 27-14. We pick it up. Burmeister, Jalen Holston. Look at this. On 3rd and 18, they just forgot to play defense at all. Swiggity Spooty, he's going for that booty.
Just tackle in space.
Oh, man. Beautiful work there. Virginia Tech within 27-21.
There goes that man again.
There we go. 3rd and 10.
Jermaine Waller. There goes that man.
Jermaine Waller doing good things. Virginia Tech picking it up. 4th and goal. 4th and goal. Forced it back over his body across the middle. I know what you're going to say, Harry.
These plays really bothered me. 3rd down, they ran a sprint out as well. Now, I already don't like sprint outs because you're basically cutting half of the field off. But I thought Braxton Burmeister had a receiver open on the 3rd down sprint out. I mean, it was close, but he could have attempted it that time, and then they come back and run the same play basically on 4th down. Let's be serious. But this game came down to West Virginia sacking Virginia Tech 6 times. And not only that, when Virginia Tech got into the red zone, they struggled. They struggled to score touchdowns. So the red zone offense for Virginia Tech and allowing 6 sacks cost them the football game today.
Yeah, when are we going to recalibrate everything we're talking about in college football this year? Like, we want every week to assign one conference as suddenly really good or suddenly really bad. I think what we've got is a lot of parity. I mean, Virginia Tech was supposed to be the, Obi-Wan. Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. If you're really good, now all of a sudden the ACC has 2 really good teams. Well, now we see Virginia Tech go down to West Virginia. I think everybody's just clumped in together. We're watching the number 1 team in the country right now have a dogfight.
Yeah.
We watched Oklahoma get everything they could get. We're watching Ohio State in a battle with Toledo. Or with Tulsa, sorry. I mean, you go across the board. What we've seen is parity in college football.
Well, college football is different now. I think this is the year that everyone's been waiting on. Okay, when are things going to be even out across the board? And even coming into this game, I thought Alabama was just so much here above everybody, but now we see some weaknesses on their defense. If you can run the football and have a dual threat quarterback, and you have running backs that can be efficient rushing the football as well, and the O-line that can move the line of scrimmage, you have an opportunity to beat Alabama. So now I think this is the year that we've been holding off and been waiting on for a long time, where teams are just even across the board. Now, Alabama is still top of my list, though.
Now, Alabama, there's the final score. We're putting it up for you. Game just went final, 31-29. The Tide roll in the swamp and get the win over Florida in what turned out to be a much better game than we thought it would be. I got to give Florida a lot of credit for fighting back.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be a blowout. We'll see.
They were terrible on 3rd downs, too.
Yeah.
Florida was horrible on 3rd downs.
Florida's going to watch the tape back on this and say, what the hell did we just do?
They lost the game themselves.
I mean,
that's exactly what they did.
And I'm not sure what the change was between the early portion of the game and later in the game, other than just tackling better. But Alabama's offense early on looked like it could do whatever they want.
And let's be honest, Fitz, coming into this game, everybody thought this was going to be a blowout. Not just a couple people, but everyone. Me, you, everybody across America thought this was going to be a blowout. Probably except Florida fans, because they were a little crazy. But obviously, we were the crazy ones, not them, because this actually turned into a nice ball game today. And I'm glad Florida had this showing, because I was worried about them the first 2 weeks.
So I got this game wrong, but I got the next game very, very right. It was my upset pick of the week. Michigan State rolling on into Miami. We picked this up. De'Ara King finds Charleston Rambo.
He had a big day today.
Yeah, Rambo was uncoverable. Miami takes the lead 7-3. Rambo, first blood. See what I did there? All right, Peyton Thorne finds Kenneth Walker in the open field tackle. Open field for a touchdown, I should say. Michigan State not backing down. 10-7, they take the lead at this point. They're just getting started. Thorne narrowly gets by there. Nice little job finally. Jalen Naylor over the top for a touchdown.
Don't touch that dial.
That's got Miami fans really upset. Look at that. Oh, I kind of want to give that guy a hug. All right, pick it up in the 3rd quarter. De'Ara King finds who else? First Blood Part 2, Charleston Rambo.
Look at the hit he took. Concentration.
Yeah. I mean, there was
and then flex on him. I love it.
Conversation about targeting on that. It's a 3-point game. De'Ara King being sacked. And we said earlier, big boy should just pick it up. Fall down on it, I should say. He picked it up. Michigan State recovers the ball and momentum. Peyton Thorne finds Jaden Reed in the end zone. That gives them a big lead. Michigan State showed no mercy, up 24-14.
I like how you hit him with the AB. Call God, because you're going to need him.
Peyton Thorne saying, hey, guess what, Sparty? You got a quarterback here. Bam! That's another touchdown.
We're not just going to run the clock out. We're going for the gusto.
That's a nailer in the coffin? Nailer in the coffin? Oh, these will come all day. De'Ara King trying to make something happen. Nope. You're going the wrong way. How do they know which way we're going? Michigan State knows what way they're going. Sparty is undefeated with the 38-17 win. And let me say that loudly. Sparty is undefeated. They have wins over Northwestern, and it looks like Northwestern is not any good. But now they've also beat Miami in Miami. Sparty's going to be ranked this week, and they are 3-0.
Well, shout out, first of all, to Mel Tucker. He has his team believing that they can compete with anyone. Secondly, when I look at this Miami football team, Miami is just not good this year. I'm not good. Listen, there's no other way to say it. Miami is not a good football team this year. That has shown. They had penalties. They had turnovers. They just did a lot of stupid things today on the football field that you're not used to or accustomed to seeing. Now, the question lies, how much longer does Miami wait? Is Manny Diaz, is his job on the line?
Yeah,
Because
the expectations
Yeah.
coming in this year. And, when you factor in the boosters that are paying how much money to all these kids to play as part of name, image, likeness, that brings expectation. I think there's more heat on Manny Diaz than ever, particularly because he came in as the defensive guy.
That's right.
And that defense, I'm going to give Sparty a lot of credit here. And you mentioned Mel Tucker. He did things a little differently. Like, he got the job late last season. Last season was a difficult year for Michigan State. So they decided, since they weren't recruiting the way they wanted to hit the transfer portal and get as many players that way as they could. They have rebuilt that roster quickly through the transfer portal. They got guys that are playing like we haven't seen in a long time. It's been a long time since I've seen a quarterback that can drop back, actually make some reads, and make a throw for Michigan State. So they're in a good
listen,
situation.
this Michigan State team, they're putting up points. They're scoring points in these ball games. I like Thorne. I like what he's doing. I like Kenneth Walker. He showed up big today. He was physical rushing the football, not only rushing the football, but catching the football out of the backfield. Y'all better watch out for Sparty.
Yeah.
Sparty has something to say.
Michigan State, by the time we hit the next few weeks, is going to find themselves flying up the rankings if they keep doing this. In the meantime, one team that doesn't need to fly up the rankings because they're already up there, Cincinnati, with their big prove-it game against Indiana. We picked this one up in the first quarter. Desmond Ridder. We showed it to you earlier.
Come on, man. You know better.
Off your bow. We didn't. We haven't shown it to you yet. You need to see this. Throws the interception early. Terrible play by him. Now you pick it up on the ensuing drive. Penix Jr. finds a touchdown. That's what happens. Ridder needed to be better, especially early in this game.
I like Hendershot, tight end for Indiana.
Yeah, he had a big game and the real physical play getting himself into the end zone. Obviously, 5:48 in the second. Desmond Ridder sacked by Anderson. The ball is loose. Indiana recovers it. Cincinnati.
Everybody wants to be a star. Everybody.
Cincinnati at this point, they looked rattled early on in the game. You pick it up here. DJ Matthews gets a nice little run here. He's going to take it into the end zone.
Nice play design.
It felt like every time Cincinnati tried to get back into this game, too, Indiana had an answer for it, but wasn't going to be enough because the ensuing kickoff, Trey Tucker says, you know what I want to do?
Game changing.
Come on, tuck my way down. Let's go, baby. Press the turbo button.
Game changing.
Separating himself. Oh!
Now, Fitz, what we have here, we have a lot of guys on the kickoff coverage team for Indiana out of their lanes. That's why you see everyone to the left side, and once he broke it, he was gone.
We pick it up here. Ridder is about to find Alec Pierce for a 19-yard touchdown. I talked earlier about, some issues for special teams. Special teams are huge in a bad way for Cincinnati in this game. You pick it up 30-24. Ridder had the triple option, keeps it, rolls it up the middle.
That's the Ridder I know.
That ends up being the go-ahead touchdown that really seals the deal. 38-24, the final score here. Again, Cincinnati had some missed extra points. They had missed field goals. Their kicker was everything but reliable in this game, and I really thought it might cost them. But instead, they get the signature win, 38-24 over Indiana. All of the conversation we've had this year about Cincinnati is, can a group of 5 team qualify for the playoff? Well, Cincinnati feels like they have that hope because they have the opportunity to now say we got a landmark win, a checkmark win against Indiana. Indiana has not been good this year, but they played well today. So the question is, what's that all going to mean to the playoff committee? And when we talk playoffs, we always like to bring in the great Heather Dinich. Heather, thank you so much for the time. When we talk about wins that the committee looks at, did Cincinnati show enough in this win over Indiana to make a difference in your mind?
Well, look, you said it. Indiana's not a ranked team. And if you look at the rest of their schedule, Notre Dame is the only ranked opponent that they will face during the regular season as it stands right now. So, yes, great win. The selection committee is going to give them credit for going on the road and beating a respectable team. But at the end of the day, as you guys know, they put a lot of stock in how many teams did you beat that were ranked in the selection committee's top 25. Is that going to be enough? My gut says no, guys. It says New Year's Six Bowl, yes, possibility. That's more like it. But, you guys were talking about parity earlier, and that works in Cincinnati's favor because as we sit here, everybody's wondering who the great teams are. And maybe by November, the end of November, Cincinnati can look like a top 4 team. But I'm telling you right now, going on the road against Indiana, that's not enough.
Heather, watching this football game today, the question lied for me, and I'm going to ask you, did Cincinnati win this football game or did Indiana actually lose this football game today?
B. I mean, if you rack up the list of mistakes that the Hoosiers made, I mean, it's longer than my arm. And I'm telling you, they had so many opportunities. There were so many different things that they weren't able to do or capitalize on. And it was just, if you're an Indiana fan, you're watching that and you think that that game was totally squandered. But you do have to give Cincinnati credit. I mean, that was a tough environment, and they got it done. But at the end of the day, Indiana made more mistakes than Cincinnati made eye-popping plays.
And so, Heather, which I always think is interesting, because one thing that the committee does take into account is who's on the field and who's not on the field. So in your experience, because the Indiana defense changed drastically after a targeting penalty resulted in an ejection. So when the committee looks at something like that, even though it's a penalty that took somebody off the field, how do they handle that?
They handle it the same as an injury, the same as they did last year when players were missing for COVID-19. Whatever the reason is that players are off the field, they consider it in essentially the same way. Now, if you look at what happened, I want to say that Cincinnati scored 10 points immediately, almost after that targeting injection. So certainly played a factor, but at the end of the day, that wasn't the entire difference in that game. There was coaching involved. There were mistakes. Yes, it was a factor. Was it the only thing? Absolutely not.
And Heather, that play kind of bothered me because that was a third down, and Indiana was about to get off the field and get that football back. Before that, Cincinnati couldn't do anything offensively, but that sparked their little comeback in my eyes.
So,
no, you're right. And, I was watching the guys, and I think it was Dusty who might have had the call for us, and he was saying that that's just a defender doing his job, and he was talking about how, maybe there's the targeting one, targeting two type thing in that situation, but it certainly changed the momentum of the game.
Quickly, Heather, before we let you go, right now we're looking at a 7-3 game for Clemson. You just mentioned the lack of ranked opponents on the schedule remaining for Cincinnati. How's the committee going to treat a Clemson team that's supposed to have cupcakes the rest of the way?
Look, the exact same way. Guys, I was at Ohio State last week when Oregon won, and as we sit here today, Oregon has a better win right now than anything Clemson is going to have on its schedule. And if you are looking at one-loss conference champs or teams with identical records, those are the kinds of wins that separate top four teams from others in the committee's eyes. We have seen that a great team can mask a lousy conference. I don't know if Clemson is a good enough team to mask just how atrocious the rest of the ACC is right now.
Heather, as always, nobody does it better, my friend. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's keep the action going, and we're moving into New Mexico. Texas A&M, first quarter, no score. Calzada swings it to Devon Achane, who does the rest for a 26-yard touchdown. The Aggies go up 7-0. Later in the first quarter, same score. Calzada airs it out. Wide open, Damon Demas.
Ooh, look at that air he put under that
touchdown.
ball. My goodness, I like that air he put under that football.
A&M goes up 14-0. It's just not the end of it here. Gets another touchdown. Another nice catch. We had a lot of nice catches today, Harry.
I like the ball placement as well. Amazing catch, one-handed.
Gets that one-handed touchdown in there. A&M wins 34-0 in this game. Calzada with 275 passing yards. 3 touchdowns. Look, I think we all expected Texas A&M to absolutely throttle New Mexico. That's not a big deal. The question is, did you see enough from A&M, given everything we saw from a very close Alabama game today, to think that maybe this is the year A&M can knock Alabama off?
Well, I think they did enough defensively. I think they held this team to under 200 yards total. And whatever you can do that's a great day for your defense. But in the next 3 weeks, we're really going to find out what this Texas A&M team is about. They have Arkansas. They have Mississippi State, and they have Alabama. We're really going to see what Texas A&M is made of these next 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, and at some point, one of these teams needs. I will say this till I'm out of breath. What the heck are all of these coaches being paid so much money for in the SEC particularly if it's not to eventually figure out some way to beat Saban? Like, I understand that Alabama does it better, but if the real goal for everybody is just to finish in second place in the SEC, save yourself some money and do it with somebody that costs you less.
But I'll tell you this, something that's in favor of Texas A&M, right? There's a possibility in my eyes that looking at college football, the SEC, we know is going to get 2 teams in the playoffs probably. They might be able to sneak a third team in.
Woo!
They might, and I'll say this, if the SEC is the best conference, if they're the best conference, and you think 3 teams from the SEC are 3 of the top teams in the nation, then they need to be in the playoffs.
1,000%. Look,
100%. I don't care what conference they come from. If they're the 3 best teams, they need all 3 of them need to be in the playoffs.
Understand, I've sat through the mock committee process, and I say this repeatedly. We need to understand that a conference championship is just another good resume addition. It does not give you anything guaranteed. And to see that, just remember, there's only 4 playoff teams, and there's 5 Power 5 conferences. So automatically they're telling you they don't care. So,
and I got to explain to the people why I say that. I'm saying that Alabama's going to win the SEC.
Okay.
Right? Georgia's going to have 1 loss. Texas A&M is going to have 1 loss.
Both to Alabama?
Yes, both to Alabama. So if all 3 of those teams are top in the nation, I think all 3 of them should get in.
I just want the best 4. I don't care where they come from. I don't care if they all come from the Pac-12 for all I care. Let's go to a score update here on Ohio State in a game that was unusually close. 41-20 right now with about 13 seconds left, so this one looks like it's about over. But my God, the story of this game is that it was close throughout. This was a 27-20 game when we came to air, right? So it was a 7-point game 20 minutes ago. Realistically, Tulsa gave Ohio State all they could handle, and I cannot believe I'm saying that.
And I heard all week throughout the media that Ohio State has worked on their defense. Didn't see it today. They're going to have to continue to work on that. But shout out to the running back coach for Ohio State, my guy Tony Alford, and that freshman running back Travion Henderson. 270 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. That tells me that they do not believe in C.J. Stroud right now because he's struggling through an interception early in that football game. So let's just hand this football off to this freshman phenom and let him take us to the promised land.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud did not look sharp today. That being said, all of the issues we've been talking about for Ohio State have come on the defensive side of the ball. This is what Coach Ryan Day said this week about that.
Giving up too many yards and too many points. I mean, that's the bottom line. We're not and I think now it's not just a single game. It's a little bit of a pattern. So, took a long, hard look the last 48 hours at everything that's going on and certainly going to make some adjustments here. You look at the results over the last couple games and then coming off of last year, it's not what we expect here. It's not our expectations. And so, that's all part of looking at, how we need to move forward with this thing.
Yeah, take a look here at some of the defensive issues they've had this year. When you look at the yards per game, when you look at the yards per attempt, the third down. These are abysmal numbers across the entire landscape. Like, there are no excusable numbers that I'm seeing here.
And you see the common denominator? Under defensive coordinator Kerry Combs. Listen, I don't know. They have to figure this thing out because defensively, Ohio State is not looking good. And there's a team in Ann Arbor right now that loves to rush the football. And if Ohio State can't stop the run, they're going to be in trouble when they play them.
Yeah, so they managed to stop the run today. Just check some of the box score on it. And obviously, but again.
But Toledo passed for, I think, over 300 yards.
Yeah, passed for.
Tulsa.
Right. So, this is the problem. Like, their defense it has holes.
Yeah.
And to me, when you've seen multiple teams expose it, you do have to ask some questions. I'm not sure you can speak to this better as a player. An in-season coaching change, does it really make a coordinator change? Does it make a big difference?
It makes a difference. It happened to me in the NFL when I was in Tennessee my first year. We had a head coach, and then we made a coaching change, and then you can see the momentum, and you can see the defense and the offense, special teams all change. So it's a matter of how you do it, when you do it, and if the guys want to buy in. If they buy in, then it can be done. All
right, let me be clear. Right now, I don't know who the 4 best teams in the country are. But if what we've seen from Ohio State, all right, okay, who you got? Alabama
and Georgia.
Alabama and Georgia.
Well, I know who 2 of them are.
We've seen mostly good from Texas A&M. We've seen mostly, like today, we saw a lot of fight from Florida, so I want to give them some credit, I guess. But we start getting past 1, 2, like Oklahoma has been questionable. Ohio State does not look great to me. Like, this doesn't look like some epic Ohio State team. And every week they say, don't worry, it'll figure itself out next week. Well, how many weeks in a row are you going to have this sort of a game?
Well, Fitz, let me tell you what can really get crazy. What if Florida beats Georgia? Now the SEC has 4 teams with 1 loss.
And as we showed this highlight, I have to apologize to the world because Oregon probably belongs in this conversation. We need to start accepting the fact that the ACC is weird this year. The Big Ten is weird this year. The Big 12 is weird this year. Like, I'm not sure where the greatness, and it's part of what I love about this season. I mean, frankly, I'm tired of the narrative that everybody knows who college football, where it's going to be. We just want chaos. I mean, I don't have a favorite college football team. You obviously went to Louisville, and we know that there's no way in hell that they're part of the college football playoff.
What you're not going to do on the college football show is disrespect my college, my university. That's what you're not going to do on this show today,
Am
Jason
I disrespecting it, or am I rightfully respecting it? I mean, I think you are still bigger.
It's fine. Stronger. I'm a Stone Cold Steve Austin you as soon as we get done. Don't worry.
It's not going to work out. All right. The game we're all waiting for tonight, obviously, is the whiteout. This is going to be epic. Number 22 Auburn facing number 10 Penn State in primetime on ABC. Holly Rowe is in Happy Valley doing sideline for the game. She sent us this report.
He does have a win against Alabama, but he has played some of the best teams in the country on the road. I expect Bo Nix to be calm and centered for the Auburn Tigers here today. We'll see. Light out. It's going to be epic. Welcome in.
I got to say, Harry, 2 years ago I was out with Game Day for our morning show. By the way, you guys should get up early in the morning and check out Countdown to Game Day. Harry Lyles, Christine Williamson doing a great job on that show. It's before Game Day, and it's right here on all of our digital platforms. I was out there a couple of years ago on that show, and we got to go to the whiteout. And I stood on the field, and you can literally feel the field shake. And I thought maybe it was just a mental thing. Then I saw a Game Day feature today on the engineering people that figured out a way to make sure that the field actually shakes when that level of noise is made. Like, you can feel a vibration all the way into your chest during the whiteout. It is not a home field advantage. It's the home field advantage. And I got in the course of my year traveling with Game Day 2 years ago, I got to see Happy Valley. I got to go to LSU. I got to go to the Swamp. I saw a lot of the big environments, not all of them, but a lot of the big environments. None of them shook the way that one shook. And that's what makes it weird and imposing all at once. And I'm a grown-ass man. I can't imagine what it's like being a kid in that environment when you're trying to figure out how to calm your nerves and play a football game when everything around you is shaking through that chaos.
And that's one of the premier stadiums in college football, right? I remember growing up, I always wanted to play at Penn State so I could play at that stadium. Over 100,000. It's over 100,000 there, right? Yeah, it's over 100,000. So I love playing in stadiums. I did love playing in stadiums like that. I'm retired now. No chance of me ever going back. I'm not a grad transfer or anything, y'all, so ignore that part. But
go back and play golf?
No, I'm good. I'm not going to J.R. Smith it. I'm fine. But I love when historic teams have those kind of crowds, right? And they're packed out no matter what.
Well, part of what Holly just alluded to, you can look at the record of who Bo Nix has played against. He's played good teams on the road. I would argue that while Penn State may not be at the same level as many of those teams as a team, Penn State's defense is really stinking good. And Penn State's defense does a really good job of disguising what they're doing. Trevor Maddich has done some great breakdowns on that on SportsCenter this week. So I'm looking at a quarterback in Bo Nix that now I've heard Holly and Marty Smith both talk openly about how open he is with the fact that he has a hard time calming down on the road. I'm asking him to calm down in that environment where the field is shaking with the defense that's giving absolute chaos in every drop back. I think that's asking a lot.
Well, I think this is one of the biggest games in Bo Nix's career, right? As a freshman, he had those flashes. As a sophomore, I think he didn't progress. I think he took some steps backwards. Both years in the 50s when it came to completion percentage. This year, I think he's doing a little bit better. They haven't played anybody. But for Auburn to get this win tonight, Bo Nix has to play well on the road in a hostile environment, and he has to be efficient.
I keep going back to Bo's first game was against Oregon in the neutral site game down in Texas. And what I think about with that game is he had such a legendary sort of comeback play in that we anointed Bo Nix as something after one game. And the problem is, while There have been moments where Bo's been very good. The expectations that came out from that one game felt like it put him on a pedestal that's almost impossible for anybody to reach. This is a great moment for Bo Nix to go out and sort of change whatever the narrative has been. In the meantime, you also have Clifford, who's been very, let's say, he's very efficient. He hasn't made mistakes this year, but it also feels like he's been very cautious in most of what he's done this year.
Well, tonight I think Sean Clifford has to do it with his legs as well as his arm. He has to get the ball to his playmakers. I think Noah Cain as well has to rush the football good for this team. But Sean Clifford, and when it comes to both of these quarterbacks, it's going to be whoever doesn't make the mistake, that's who's going to come out on top in this football game.
Let me ask you this, though, Harry. Like Penn State, we're looking at Clifford warming up here before the game. I mean, can they be the team in the Big Ten? Like, we've been trashing Ohio State, and Iowa looked like they had some issues today. We'll get into that. Like, I mean, is this Penn State's year?
Well, it might be. I think if they don't do it this year, what other year can they do it? I think everything is set up for them. Ohio State is taking a step backwards. Michigan is trying to come back in fruition and be a team in the Big Ten that can actually contend. So I think Penn State, if they can get this victory, I think they have an opportunity to be that team this year in the Big Ten.
There are two superstars in this game I know you have your eye on the offensive side of the ball. Tell me first about your Auburn superstar.
Tank Bigsby.
What a name.
Oh, my goodness. And he runs like a tank. He's a guy who's going to be aggressive. He's going to be physical. He shows emotion. Auburn, Mike Bobo, just get the football to Tank Bigsby. I think y'all will be okay.
I just love the thought of Mike Bobo getting the ball to Tank. All right. On the Penn State side, though, you got a little receiver look.
Wide receiver Jahan Dotson. Hey, if they want to make plays, just get a ball to Dotson. He's a guy that can do it inside. In the slot, he's a guy who can do it outside. If you're Auburn, do not match your safeties up with this guy. I've seen this too many times in college football. Actually, one of his touchdowns this year came against a safety. But this young man right here can play the game of football at a very high level, and he's going to make a team happy on Sundays after this season.
All right, we're going to try and make some people happy with picks. So far, we've done pretty well this year. Who you got in this game?
I'm going to go with Auburn. I'm going to keep it down south, man. I'm going to go with the Auburn Tigers.
After everything you just said, oh, my God. All right.
I think this is the one time. This is the game that I need Bo Nix to show up. I think Bo Nix is going to show up and silence the critics tonight.
I think Bo Nix is going to have 2 turnovers that make Auburn fans turn gray out of the gate. Penn State's going to be able to defensively squash whatever they need to do in the air. So I think Penn State wins this game. I'm going Penn State. I feel pretty good about it. Also, Annabelle, my amazing puppy, is 2-0 so far in her picks every week, and she picked Penn State today, so I'm stealing directly from my dog.
Annabelle can be wrong too now. Don't forget that.
You shut your mouth. Wow, this is going to get really heated here. All right, in the meantime, don't forget, you can watch number 22 Auburn take on number 10 Penn State right here. All you have to do, it's at the bottom of the hour on ABC. Sign in to your cable provider. If you're watching in the ESPN app, you can just hang out. You don't have to go anywhere. The game will come right on as soon as we're done, so you can go ahead and check it out all right there. Let's get back to the action on the field from some of the big games today. Clemson had their hands full. DJ Uiagalelei here, hands off to Will Shipley, runs it in for 3 yards and a touchdown.
Will Shipley's the guy, the running back position, who's taking over for this Clemson team.
Jordan Yates here, sacked by Brian Brees. KJ Henry, they're in on it at 7-0. Now, there was a lightning strike, caused a stoppage in this game, and the current score, 7-3. Nothing has looked easy. You see DJ's numbers, 14 and 19 for 89 yards. You want to talk about somebody that looks like he's been cautious with the football? That's DJ Uiagalelei in the air.
Well, when it comes to Clemson offensively, something's not clicking, right? This football team, we're accustomed to seeing Clemson offensively score points, go up and down the field, hit the big play, hit the home runs. We have not seen that from Clemson this year, and I think Tony Elliott, I think DJ Uiagalelei, I think they're being careful with the football, but that's not the way to get, in the eyes of the committee, to get them to want to put you back in the playoffs if you win the ACC. You have to put up points, and especially a Georgia Tech team who lost to Northern Illinois earlier, you're only up 7-3 to end the third quarter. That's not pretty.
All right, let's go to the next game on the slate. Kent State taking on number 5 Iowa. Look at the field there. Tyler Goodson. He is just a delight to watch every week. Just go watch his rips. He's rumbling. He's tumbling, swinging his foot. He's going for the booty. Put the treasure in the chest.
What a luxury.
46-yard rushing touchdown. Iowa takes the 9-0 lead. Now we have Dustin Crum throwing a dime to Abram for a contested 23-yard tutty. Cuts it to 9-7. We pick it up here. Iowa quarterback Spencer Petras finds Laporta for a 5-yard touchdown. Iowa goes up 16-7. not to be outdone, though. They're just getting going. Goodson says, I want more of that good. Good and plenty. Because he's got plenty of field ahead of him. See what it did there?
Beat the stud.
Oh, man, that makes it 23-7. He's not done, though. He looks out and says, I'd like one more chance at the candy drawer. Iowa wins 30-7. Goodson with all the good. Finishes with 153 yards and 3 touchdowns. Again, going back to what they do well. They run the football with him.
Well, I'll tell you what, Iowa, they just sit back and wait for you to make the mistakes, and then they're going to capitalize on it. And I'm going to say it week in and week out. They might not be the most talented. They might not have the fastest guys on their football team, but they're smart. They're going to be physical, and they're going to be efficient in everything they do, and they're not going to beat themselves. Iowa with the victory today over Penn State.
They wear you down in the process, too. Let's go to the next game. Northern Illinois taking on barely ranked Michigan. I'm just throwing a little shade, but still. Harbaugh getting everybody pumped up. Haskins leaps into the pile in the end zone for the touchdown. Michigan goes up 21-3 at that point. More Michigan ground game here. This is the way they're going to win, and it's fun to watch. Haskins fights past 2 defenders for the 5-yard touchdown there. Now we get Cade McNamara saying, I want some fun. Well, that's what happens when you get the fun. At what point do you run out of breath?
No, DB, don't act like you pull your hamstring or something happened. You just got beat.
87-yard touchdown there. We pick it up. Blake Corum takes it down the sideline. Somehow keeps his feet in bounds. Look at this. He's like, I'm an acrobat dancing on the high wire. 51-yard touchdown run. One of 3 touchdowns for him.
I like how he finished like he was in the Olympics.
I mean, why not? 63-10, by the way, for a team in Michigan that runs the ball as well as they do. I cannot wait to see what it looks like when they take on Ohio State this year. That's going to be strength on weakness. That'll be fun.
And I think they have one of the best tandems in football at the running back position in Corum and Haskins. This football team today rushed for, I think, over 370 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. There's a recipe for this Michigan football team. And if you're not physical defensively, they're going to take advantage of you in the run game and pound you until you submit.
Let's get to another close game for Notre Dame. 27-13, a game that was closer than the final score. It was a weird day for Notre Dame as they just couldn't get out of their own way yet again.
Notre Dame, they're just holding on by a shoestring, man, by the skin of their toes. They're holding on.
Well, and I'll give Mike Golick Jr. a little credit for some analysis on Twitter as he said there are moments that Notre Dame looks great. They just can't put them together back to back to back. And until they do that, they will not be a complete team. Let's go next to a team that has a new coach on the sidelines, USC. After letting Clay Helton go this week, taking on Washington, Jaden DeLora finds Harris in the end zone for a 12-yard touchdown there.
Must be the airplane.
Yeah, as USC had some flight issues. Oh, just another easy touchdown here. Harris again. Washington State goes up 14-0. Jackson Dart drops back, finds Gary Bryant Jr. for a nice little 38-yard touchdown. Trying to make it a game here. USC closes the gap.
Keaton Slovis got hurt in this game. That's why y'all don't see him in the football game right now. He got hurt, went out in this ball game.
Dart throws a laser through traffic here. London, he is not falling down. That's a touchdown. USC ties it up 14-14.
Oh, that boy good.
Yeah. Gary Bryant Jr. going to find the end zone here next. A little 4-yard touchdown pass. USC rolling.
Fitz, we ran this play in the NFL. I remember I ran against the Carolina Panthers. Shout out to the OC for just dialing it up.
Look at that. Now, the defense says, we want in on the fun. The ball's on the ground. Ball's on the ground. Everybody fun when the ball's on the ground. 28-14, USC
That's
gets
funny.
momentum.
He looked like a guy I played with that went to USC, a guy named Jurrell Casey.
Ooh, that's called a tease. Jackson Dart about to find London again. I don't know why I decided to sing the word tease, but why not? It's a college football show presented by AT&T 5G. We can do that. USC gets a score here. They would go on to win this 45-14. Dart finished with 391 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. So obviously great work by them. And now 1-0 in the post-Clay Helton era. So to get some insight on all things USC, speaking of Jurrell Casey, he joins us now to discuss the program. Jurrell, appreciates your time, man. So you know USC better than anybody. As they finally move on from Clay Helton, who do you think should be the next coach for your team?
There's a lot of great hot topics out there. I think there's a lot of great options. Ken Norton Jr., I think that's one guy that comes to mind right away off the top of the dome. Coach Ken, man, he bring energy. He bring that spunk. He bring that fire to the game. I would love to see him as the head coach up there and bring that winning tradition back, definitely.
Case, man, shout out to you. You just retired, man. I'm gonna give you a shout out because you had a great career. You're one of my favorite teammates of all time. But what do you think is missing from USC that probably was there when Pete Carroll was there, that was there when you played there? What's missing from this team?
It was the reason they used to call that man Big Balls Pete, man. It's the reason, man. You got to take those big shots. I think the biggest thing is getting under center. I think I haven't seen SC play under center for a long time. Get their running backs involved. Get the boys running downhill. That smash mouth football, that's what the Pac-12 used to be about, and that's what I feel like you need to come back now that Oregon, they start coming out with that spread offense. Every team think they can do it. Man, you got to get under that center, man. Get underneath that center, hand that ball off, take some shots downfield, make some big plays happen. What college football is all about.
College football is also all about recruiting. You know that, and we always talk about recruits. They seem to go nationally now. Can somebody come in and make USC the top recruiting destination again?
Do I know that? I don't know. The biggest thing is going to be you just getting out there. I really can't talk too much about recruiting. I don't really understand how that process fully works. Will make players think this coach is going to do something better. But I think, SC had that winning tradition, had that swag to it. You just got to get guys to come back and believe back into it. We've been going through the whole probation sanctions and all that stuff. We offer that now. It's time for kids to come back over and come to some winning football. And in order to get those kids over there, it's going to take SC the next couple of years to start really getting some wins.
Case, I want to see the stars back on the sideline. I want to see Snoop Dogg in his USC jersey.
Man.
I want to see the actors and actresses at the USC games. Man, how big was that for y'all when you was playing there?
Man, that was life, man. Everybody understood when you came to an SC game, SC was going to ball, but everybody came for the celebrity, the hype around the game, the people that's going to be there in the stands, that's going to be on the sideline. And when you're a football player or a student athlete and you seeing these stars on the sideline, you walk over shaking their hands, man, that brings juice, energy to the game, man. I think, missing that definitely, but, winning will bring it all back. That's the whole thing of the game is we all understand how fans waver and how people are, but, you bring that winning tradition back, then all those hypes and all the favors come back to the game. But if you're not winning, then you can't expect all that.
Man, Harry said earlier one of his favorite teammates is somebody that lived in Nashville for 20 years. It was a joy to get to watch you play, brother. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight. Thanks for hanging out with us,
HD,
appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate it.
Look at that. Harry Douglas bringing in all the star power. Let's get to some holy cow. You hear the moves. You hear the music. And that means it's time for us to say holy cow to the best plays of the day. And it starts here with Louisville. Look at this. That's last night.
Go, boy, go.
Jalen Olderman kept his eyes up and grabbed the ball, ramming back for the game winner.
Go, boy, go.
And we know how you're going to score this, but you still have to give it a score.
Go, boy, go.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I'm going to go with 100 because this is my alma mater. This was at the end of the ball game, so this was to win the ball game. Shout out to Louisville. Go U of L. Hell yeah.
All right, let's get to the next play on the docket, and it's a little bit of Oklahoma love. It's the play of the day. You're going to see it all day. DJ Graham drops in this and makes an unbelievable one-handed interception. I mean, unbelievable. Look at this thing. Trey Young was in attendance, watched from the sideline. Spencer Rattler's reaction was absolute chaos. It was maybe one of my favorite parts of this. Look at that. Trey's just out there looking down and saying, I got those ups too. I got that. Look at it. Good positioning by him.
All 150 pounds of them.
Yeah, well.
But that's my boy, Trey. Shout out to the Hawks.
Look at Spencer. You know what, Spencer? I'm giving this 100. The first 100 of the season.
We have 200s back to back, baby.
All right.
We in a mood right now. We're in a groove.
All right, let's get to some Nevada highlights here. We're going to get some wide receivers, judging wide receivers. Romeo Dubes makes a beautiful catch. The defender had his left hand tied up even. Look at this. Interfered, but still gets it, Harry.
Listen, I'm going to give this score an 83. But let me tell you this. A coach don't want you coming to the sideline saying, oh, coach, he pass interferes me. He grabbed my arm. We don't give a damn. We want the catch.
Well,
so catch the football. Good job, young man.
I want to see some pit action. Let's get to the next catch on this holy cow. This is a pit tight end. Anytime we got a tight end going, I'm in for it. Lucas Kroll makes a statement with that. He just flips over him and says, I'm going for it. Now, look, I mean, I'm not an easy grader. We all know that, even though I just gave out the big 100. The ball was pretty well placed. All he did was sort of fall into the end zone. He gets an 80 for that.
I tell you, I hate when those defenders dive at your legs.
No, there's no doubt about that. 80. I mean, he didn't do that. Maybe a better leap next time. Let's get the next one in, and it's Texas A&M. Texas A&M getting a little fantastic action here from Moose Muhammad II. Makes an unbelievable 7-yard touchdown grab. Look at that.
I'm going to give this a 98, but we got to start checking these gloves. You know how they used to check for the stick 'em back in the days? We need to see what's on these players' gloves because they making this look very, very easy with one hand nowadays.
You still got any in your old playing gloves you're going to bring in? Will you check those?
Yes, I do.
We're going to check those out?
But I only wore cutters. Those are the best gloves.
You gave that a 98.
I gave it a 98.
Wow. All right. Well,
that's one hand, man. That football's coming on a line drive very fast, right? You twerk his body a little bit. Give me that.
All right, give me that Alabama score. That's what we need. Those are your Holy Cow plays. It's a college football show presented by AT&T 5G. If you're just tuning in, Alabama raced out to an early lead. It looked like it was going to get UGLY and have no alibi, but it was not ugly. 31-29, Alabama ekes it out over Florida. Florida scored what could have been the tying touchdown near the end of the game. Went for two, was unable to convert the two-point conversion. This was a game for anyone that did not see it, that because of injury only had one quarterback for Florida. But frankly, this is a game that Harry, I keep going back to the lost opportunities early for Florida. They had so many chances to make plays in space and didn't. And they even said on the broadcast at one point, it looked like Alabama just had better athletes. That normalized throughout the course of the game. Yeah. But early on, it did not.
Well, they had a chance to get off the football field on numerous of occasions, and they couldn't. And not being able to get off on third downs led to touchdowns to Alabama. The interception by Emory Jones early on led to a touchdown. So you negate some of those things, or you control just minimize some of those things. You probably beat Alabama today, the number one team in the nation that everyone has crowned, including myself. And they will probably have a loss. But instead, it cost you, and you couldn't do enough to come back. You came back you had a chance, two-point conversion, but you didn't capitalize, and third downs were horrible for Florida.
I felt like in the first quarter we were saying, what are we even doing? Like, let's just give them the trophy. And by the end of it, it's like, all right, well, maybe there's a chance. Here's the real question. Elephant versus gator in real life.
Ooh.
Who you got? Real life elephant versus a real life gator. SEC Fight Night. Who you got?
Okay, so some of y'all don't know, I grew up a Florida fan. My mom went to UF. My dad was born in Gainesville, Florida. I wanted to go to Florida, but I wanted to play for Steve Spurrier. He wasn't there. That's when I went to Louisville. But I'm gonna go with the gator.
How's a gator gonna beat an elephant?
You didn't tell me to explain how. You just said, who am I going with? I'm going with the alligator. So don't question me if I tell you I'm going with the alligator.
That is a technicality. Like, I'm a little torn on this because the elephant's got power, right? But alligators, they seem like they're twitchy.
Bite that foot off.
Like, and you know this, like, okay, if I'm gonna turn around in a football game and I got you versus like a big boy, who am I taking in that situation?
Don't take me.
I'm going to take you because you're going to be able to run around.
I'm like a little hyena.
Yeah, that's what the gator's going to do.
Quick on my feet, hyena.
The gator's going to run it at the elephant's feet, but over time, I feel like the elephant is not going to tire, and the gator eventually is, and then it only takes one good shot from the elephant foot.
Hey, Fitz, I'm just here to give you my answer. You asked me, who would I take, an elephant or a gator? I told you a gator. Now you're getting into all this spiel about the elephant. He's big, he's stumbling and all this rumbling. I don't care about all that. I'm taking the alligator.
Yeah, I'm still taking the elephant, all right? And we all know the elephant in the room is that there are other games still going on. Woo! Check out that transition. Let's get a live look in here at number 2 Georgia beating South Carolina 14-3 right now. And this game in the first quarter is still obviously early. But you mentioned earlier that Georgia is in your mind is clearly the second best team in the country. Right?
Yeah, I like Georgia. I like what they present defensively. They're efficient. They have two backs in James Cook and Zamir Wright who can run the football. I like what that offensive line did against Clemson's defensive front. So I like Georgia.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. And look, Georgia defensively has been so good, but I think it's funny after the first game of the year, I text a couple of our buddies that work here that are Georgia fans, and both of them came back and said, still worried about that offense? Like, everybody finds a reason. You find a reason to be scared if you're a Georgia fan, but, man, I don't know.
But looking at Florida today, I told you, before Florida's game today, they made me nervous. But looking at Florida's game today, Georgia better be ready to play when they play Florida, because Florida presents some things, a dual threat quarterback, and then I'm pretty sure Anthony Richardson will be back by then. So I'm looking forward to that game, the largest cocktail party in the world in college football down there in Jacksonville, Florida. I spent a lot of time going to that game as a kid.
You get me an invite now to go? Like, maybe me, you, we do the show live from there?
If we can do the show from there, we're going.
We totally can't. They'll never let us do that and, actually party during the game. We should get back to work. You've seen glorious amounts of the good, but now it's time to show you some of the bad. It's time for Bruh delivered by Pizza Hut. We got the fancy boxes. It smells like a delight here. The pizza far better than the plays. Let's check out some of the most questionable moments from a huge Saturday of action. And we're going to start by throwing Cincinnati under the bus. Desmond Ridder.
You know better.
I mean, look at this. You're throwing off your back foot. Pick happens here. I mean, you said it in the meeting room. You got to be better at that stage in his career.
Bruh, you cannot throw off your back foot when the blitz is coming. Bruh, you cannot throw off your back foot across the middle of the field. Come on, bruh.
Yeah, well, an action has consequence because while you see that interception, that next drive resulted in this. A touchdown.
Now, bruh, you see what your actions led to? It led to a touchdown for Indiana. Come on, bruh. You older than that. You should know better.
Yeah, well, and that's not the only sort of bruh moment here. We go back to Ridder again. Had to get sacked.
Oh,
look at this. The lineman's got it.
Bruh.
One hands it.
Not only did bruh give up the sack, but everybody wants to be a star. But I was told everybody can't be a star. Man, just fall on the football field. Come on, bruh.
I mean, he's palming that thing and getting up and running around with it. You can't be reckless with the ball when you're that big. Let's go.
Big guys need loving too, but not on that play.
The good news is they survived those mistakes. USC, their plane apparently had some issues, tips backwards on the tarmac, with the coaches and the football staff still on board. Imagine the complex you've just given everybody that was at the back of that plane about their weight.
No, bruh. What are we watching? Are we watching Soul Plane with Kevin Hart? What is going on here? Come on, bruh. What is going on here?
I'm just imagining a world where it's like all the people in skinny jeans in the front and all the big hog mollies in the back. And it's just sort of, it changed the weight a little bit.
Coaches to the back, big guys to the front.
Well, let's get to this Michigan State play here. You were freaking out about this block. Attempted a block, the roughing the kicker, because it's just bad technique.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know if this young man isn't following his coach's instructions, and I don't know if the coaches are even giving him the right instructions. But you are supposed to take the ball off the punter's foot. Why are your hands so high in the air? Come on, bruh. Y'all about to get the football at midfield.
The good news, again, is that they managed to survive these bruhs. Anytime you can survive a bruh, then we can laugh about it. Nextly, that's not a word, I just made it up. Little pit action here. Two pit defenders collide trying to make the tackle.
You got to be kidding me.
I mean, they just forget to actually make the tackle.
You know what, bro?
Bruh.
Pitt lost this game, right?
Yeah.
Bro, you got to be kidding me.
I mean, that's one that's going to hit you. Like, you're coming in trying to lay somebody out, you lay your own teammate out.
Bro, he almost concussed his own man.
Yeah, that's a regrettable moment in a loss for Pitt. You're right. And lastly, on the bruh list, we love him. But I got to ask you a question about this. Paul Feinbaum just decides, he's going to go face-to-face with the Gator. Now, I was at game day a couple of years ago in Gainesville, and a little Gator was given to us to hang on to, and I was scared out of my mind. Feinbaum is ready to take on the Gator.
Bruh, you tripping. Mr. Feinbaum, bruh, I'm sorry, but you're not going to see anybody like me doing anything like that, and you read between the lines when I say that one.
Yeah, also notice our buddies Jordan Rodgers and Tim Tebow. They sat back there. You know why? Because they understand you can't mess with a moneymaker. That's too pretty.
And Roman Harper.
I mean, yeah. They're all sitting back. They're like, you know what? I'm pretty. I'm going to sit back, make sure that I don't get face-to-face. Feinbaum right in there with the Gator. I don't know what he's thinking. All right, we got a live look in here from Auburn, Penn State, the whiteout. About 9:37 left. By the way, it's going to be Tim Tebow on First Take this week after his take that Florida would win. So I'm sure Stephen A will give it to him. Auburn is up 3-0 early in this game. If you're just tuning in, Harry picked Auburn earlier. I picked Penn State. So we haven't figured out what we're wagering, but so far he's got to feel pretty good about it. Clifford efficient, 4 of 5 for 27 yards. You can see the whiteout, the crowd, the environment. It really is special, and I know that so often fans get caught up on who's got the best and what's the best, and none of that matters to me. There are certain environments that are just spectacular. This is one of them. You can watch this on ABC, or if you're watching us in the ESPN app, you can authenticate, stick around, watch the rest of our show for a few minutes, and then check out the game afterwards.
Saquon Barkley's back in the house, so I know that Penn State wants to play well.
Was there, do you have an all-time favorite environment that you played in?
I'll say when I was playing in Louisville, we were ranked 5th. West Virginia came in ranked 3rd. We had a blackout game. We won that one. And then lastly, I'll say playing in the Orange Bowl, man. I hate they got rid of that stadium because, I understand it was old and they just had to progress. But, playing at the Orange Bowl, it was so much history in that stadium, they should have never got rid of it.
Now we see here that we're now gone to a live look in. Georgia is up 14-6 on South Carolina. Just follow the Twitter feed of Elle Duncan. It's you need it right now in your life because she live tweets Georgia games much like I live tweet Raiders games, and you get to see all of the joy and agony through all of it. Georgia, obviously, with the football here, we'll see how they move it. JT Daniels, again, a very efficient 8 of 9, 119, and a touchdown early in this.
And I said for Georgia to be able to compete with Alabama, to compete with some of these teams and win a national championship, JT Daniels had to be great, throw the football downfield. You see right now, he's making great progress.
Yeah, I think everything becomes about, getting the reps right now, getting sort of familiar and ready for tougher opponents. And that's why, while Georgia played Stetson Bennett on the cupcake last week, this week I think it's a little more significant. You got to get him in.
But I tell you why Stetson Bennett was him doing so well was a positive for Georgia. Say you beat Florida and you make the SEC championship game. Now you have a quarterback that you can throw into that football game who's a dual threat guy and make plays for you like we've seen Emory Jones do with his legs and his arm today.
Well, and we have now gone back to the Auburn-Penn State game. See, you can only get this on the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. We're keeping you up to date on both of the games going on right now. Auburn-Penn State, they're back in action, so we've taken you back over there. Penn State with the ball at their own 19-yard line. See what kind of movement they'll be able to get on this. Do you love or hate these as a former wide receiver? Where are you on, the little bubble screens to wide receivers?
I love it because it's a chance to get the football into my hands quick. It should be an easy catch like we did not see right there, but a chance for me to be able to run with the football in space and make guys miss. So I used to love them. Yeah,
and obviously a lot of expectations on Penn State. We talked about that earlier. This is going to be a game that I think is much like a heavyweight fight. First couple of drives is all about feeling each other out to figure out what the game plan looks like. We'll see what Clifford does here as he gets back to the line. Clifford drops back. Ooh, little escapability right there. Little escapability. Remember, you can authenticate in the app, watch the game in the ESPN app. It's on the ABC Lab right now. Now we're dropping in as we take a look at some of the crazy and twisted plays from week 2. Presented by Twisted Tea. We've got the bucket, we've got the fancy drinks, and I got to admit, I wish I'd worn a little splash of color because you look fire with this.
Listen, I had to show some love to Twisted Tea today, so that's why I wore these colors.
Well, let's show some love to some of these plays, and we'll start in at the top with some UCF here. There's a happy moment here. Lofts pass to Jalen Robinson, who elevates to make an amazing catch with the defender all over him in the end zone. 15-yard touchdown. A lot of work for, that 7 points.
Well, I tell you this. Sometimes you got to give credit where credit is due. This is against my alma mater, but my goodness. Come on, Mr. Robinson. I see you, baby.
Oh, please, Mr. Robinson. See what I'm just going to sing through this whole show tonight. Beautiful catch. Next up, we got Tennessee's Javonte Payton with the spectacular little 29-yard touchdown catch. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Ooh. Coming down in the corner. Literally had to twist himself, which is why you get in on the Twisted Tea Fund for this one.
And that's what they teach you as a receiver. You don't want to land out. You can secure that catch.
Have you ever, while catching the ball, screamed, "Come on, baby, let's do the twist"? I'm telling you, the songs are everywhere here.
I was just excited so I can get up and talk junk.
All right, we got Tommy DeVito. Pass tipped. Tommy says, I wish I was Danny DeVito right now. It'd be more fun. Albany's Christian Lewis takes it to the house.
Another pick six. Tips and overthrows. Those are a coach's nightmare if you're on the team that threw the pick six.
Yeah, the nightmare is watching Albany do that to Syracuse. Remember when we were all hot on Syracuse at one point? Woo! Look at that play. Beautiful.
Tips and overthrows. You do not want them. You want them as a defense.
What do you say to your quarterback when you go back and you're can you just my bad that? Because we all say, we all know the guy that misses the wide open shot and then says my bad.
Oh, it's the worst. We don't want you to say my bad. We know it's your bad. Just don't make that play anymore.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, it's a delight. That's why the quarterbacks need a Twisted Tea after a play like that.
Mm-hmm.
From some of the most twisted to the best plays, it's time for Best Plays, brought to you by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. And we start with UCF. A little trickery. The Knights threw back to the quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, in a lateral situation, and he walked in for the touchdown.
You got to like a little trickery in the right situation. Every situation is not the right situation. Right here, was the right situation.
Yeah,
Dylan
when it
Gabriel.
works, we praise it. When it doesn't work, we say, what the hell was he thinking the entire time? I mean, let's just be real.
Agreed.
It definitely worked in that play, though. Let's go now to Missouri defensive back Chris Abrams-Drain. Full sicko mode on this interception. Look at that.
Come on,
I think
receiver.
it might be over the top if it was a basketball game.
He just got mossed.
Oh, look at that. I like that. A little credit. Now be sure to check out NFL Sunday Countdown on tomorrow morning on ESPN. Look at that play. I'm all in for that when you go up, 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 and away.
The receiver should never let that happen. You should never let a DB do that to you.
Let's take a look here at Kentucky. Speaking of DBs, Tyrell Asian shut down Chattanooga in the fourth. Starts a little bit there.
Might go all the way. But that's all you're going to get from me, Fitz. This is a school down the road from where I went to school, so that's all you're going to get from me.
There needs to be like a mercy rule at the 15-yard line. Save him the energy. Beautiful move right there. So those are some of your best plays. Not so much the best plays, by the way, for Florida State. You're not reading that incorrectly. Wake Forest, 35-14 over Florida State.
This is significant. Let me tell you why. Because Florida State has now started 0-3. At some point, we need to call Deion Sanders. Stop playing around.
I mean,
call prime time. Coach Prime.
I believed in Mike Norvell getting in there, but man, I don't know how you get from behind the 8 ball this far.
One call, that's all. Call Deion Sanders. Call Coach Prime.
This has been the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. Again, you can hang out in the app, watch all sorts of football there. Be sure to stick with us all day on Saturdays on digital platforms, all the way from countdown to game day early in the morning to this. And then we're back for the wrap-up show tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern. Harry and I will be hanging out there. We're here all day long. Thank you so much for hanging us. For everybody behind the scenes, for Harry Douglas, I'm Jason Fitz. This is the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G.